Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much. We just wanted to go through a quick update on trees, and this will be very quick. And just to talk about what's eligible in the tree program. So, as the graphic shows, when we get to on the right there, it shows as far as the tree height, 2 times the height of the tree. If it fell into a road, we're going to talk more about the road, or a right-of-way of that road, it would be eligible for the program. As far as that tree. As far as the roads that we're talking about, there's a couple different commercial properties are also included in this program. Now the complexity of roads, and it's been quite a discussion over a period of time with our FEMA partners and our Cal OES partners. We've talked about public roads. So again, a tree, 2 times the height of a tree, falling that would threaten a public road or a public right-of-way would be eligible to be removed from the program. A tree for private roads now. The trees that would threaten a private road by Northern Recycling, so that road, there's garbage service on that road, that would be eligible for the program as well. Same thing, two times the height of the tree, fell into that road, threatened the road, or a right-of-way associated with that road, which that's very limited in that case, but would threaten that private road, that's eligible as well. And then the last category is private roads that connect 2 public roads. What that means for the town is pretty simple. We're in the process of working through the map, working through the ROE Center, and there will be a public-facing map in the very near future. But what that means for the town in all those categories of roads, there's about 1 mile that is not served by any of those categories. So about 1 mile of roads in the town are not public, not private, served by garbage, or connect to public roads, which is great news for all of us, because that's a number of trees that are going to get to be removed through that program. Again, the program is still the same. There's a government program you submit an ROE for, and then there's a private program in which you submit a inspection access form to participate in the program, and we need you to participate in the program, and Kathy's going to talk a little bit more about that. The graphic, there's limited copies in the back if you'd like to take a graphic, but the key point is that 2 times the height of the tree that would threaten a road. There's been some questions about slash. Through the government program, anything associated with a tree is going to be taken. So all those limbs aren't going to be left on your property. They're going to take the whole tree. What they're not going to take is if you have other vegetative growth, they're not going to trim that. They're going to take the tree, and then when they clean all the tree up, if there's anything that comes up with that will all go. But other parts of your property that is where vegetative growth is and not eligible components of trees, they wouldn't touch that, but they are going to take the tree and the whole tree as far as taking that out. Next, I'd like to introduce Kathy Grams with the ROE Processing Center, a real partner in this. So Kathy, to talk about the ROEs.
Thank you. Good evening. So as Greg said, my role is to manage the processing center, and that's to help everybody get enrolled in either the government program or the private program. And so with the public roads, we are about halfway there in terms of enrollment. So we still have a ways to go to reach people, to encourage people to enroll in either the government or the private program. Of course, once the private roads are added, then that's going to be some additional people. And so you may have heard from us, we are doing a lot of outreach right now, and so we are making calls to you, we are doing robocalls, we are sending you things in the mail, and I ask your patience because sometimes we duplicate that, and we hear, you've already heard from us, and you've already sent something something in, so I apologize for that in advance. We're really kind of blanketing everything we can think of to reach out to people. And so the processing center is doing this for both the town of Paradise and the county of Butte, so we're doing it for everyone. We are located at the Paradise Library, and we will be there for the month of February, and then hope to move into the Brick, which I know is going to be talked about a little bit later, so that it'll be more of a one-stop shop for you. You can take care of a lot of your business in one place. So with the right of entry forms or the private access forms, you can mail them in, you can email them, you can go see us at the library. So there's a lot of different ways that you can do that. A lot of questions. We also have a call center, so there's a phone number that you can call and actually talk to somebody about your questions. One of the things that is up there now is what they call a public-facing map. So there is a map up there that shows currently the parcels that are eligible for the program and what the status is, whether you're required to submit a right of entry form or you've already done that. It'll show that on that map. And you can access that map through Make It Paradise. The website, is that correct, Greg? The Make It Paradise. So a couple things about that too. We get a lot of questions in the call center saying, hey, I turned in my information, but it's not showing on the map and I'm worried that you didn't get it. So what I would say is give us a few days, a week. There's a process that it takes a little bit of time for us to process it and then for the state to put that up on that map. If you don't see something in a week, give us a call back though, because we want to make sure that we haven't, something hasn't slipped through the cracks. The other thing is, as Greg said, for the town of Paradise, it's nearly all the parcels in the town of Paradise. So my message to you is, if you haven't enrolled yet, please do, because even though we don't have it up on the map yet, and even though we don't have everything ready to go up there, we will accept ROEs, we will accept your private access forms. We've already taken, I think, about 800 for those of you that live on private roads that were hoping that this would happen. And so it's taking us a little while. Now we've got those and we're going through those, and you may get some calls if we're missing some verification, but we've got those. We don't turn anybody away and we keep all the forms. So as of tomorrow, you can start enrolling because we're going to get that map up. We're going to get those parcels put into play just as soon as we can. I think I just wanted to make sure I hit on everything. I think that's it. Again, that call center number can answer any of your questions, and the people at the Paradise are really great if you want to talk to somebody face to face.
Val's got question cards if you have a question, and then we'll answer those at the end. This is, again, I want to talk about just how exciting this program is. It's never been done in the nation before. We're really cutting a new trail. So help us in submitting your inspection access form or your ROE, because it's a critical part of making the program work. Thank you very much. Next, I'd like to introduce colleague Colette Curtis, to talk about the BRIC.
Thank you, Greg. Thanks, Greg and Kathy. All right, good evening, everyone. So I have the exciting job of giving an update on the BRIC, or the Building Resiliency Center. So you may have heard this talked about when we were doing our community visioning process, and out of that came the long-term recovery plan and 40 long-term recovery projects that were identified in that visioning process. The Building Resiliency Center is one of those projects, and we've been working on it diligently since the spring. Okay, and you can see a picture here of the inside of the BRIC. It's really exciting. It is open now. It opened to the public on January 27th. And so you can go in and see that. You can see our building department there. And the reason that the town opened the Building Resiliency Center was really to support council's goal of bringing residents back home to Paradise as soon as possible. And so opening the BRIC helps people have a one-stop shop to come in, get the information they need to rebuild, get permits, and find resources for rebuilding. So the things that you'll find in the brick, first of all, you'll find an expanded Town of Paradise building department. So we took our building department from Town Hall and we moved it to the Building Resiliency Center, which is located in the old Bank of America building on Skyway. So it's a big building, very spacious. We've expanded from 2 small counters to 7 counters to serve the public even better. So the lines move much faster. It's a much better experience. And we also have many other resources available as well. You'll also find Butte County Building Division has a satellite office there for those residents who live in the unincorporated areas of the county. You can come into the brick and get information and permit information. We also have many agencies that you'll see listed there that have office hours in the brick. So if you have questions for PID or PG&E, you can come in, sit down and talk with them. You can make an appointment to speak with them if you'd like as well. And you'll see a picture of our very friendly brick coordinator there who will greet each and every one of you when you enter the brick and help you find the resource that you need. You also will find our rebuild advocates, which is a really important aspect of rebuilding for those who have never done anything like this before. We recognize that rebuilding can be a complicated process, and we want to make that as easy and fast as possible. So our rebuild advocates will sit down with residents who need help rebuilding, and will go through the building checklist. They will go through even financial information to help make rebuilding more affordable. So even if you have just received your insurance settlement and you're not sure where to begin, start with our rebuild advocates. They can talk with you about resources that are available. There is a lot of financial resources available, from loans and grants and programs that are specifically for residents who are rebuilding after the campfire. It's a free service, so we really encourage anyone who is even thinking about rebuilding to come in and talk with our rebuild advocates. You can make an appointment with our brick coordinator to sit down with them at a specific time, or you can just walk in. They're there Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. And then I want to mention that we are actually having a little event to celebrate that the brick is open now, and that is going to be on Friday. So it's this Friday, February 7th at 10 a.m. We're going to thank the people who made the opening of the brick possible. We had some amazing donors who made it possible, not only Bank of America, who donated the beautiful building to us, but we also received grants from the USDA, Ray Morgan, from AT&T, and of course the Butte Strong Fund. And so without those individuals and organizations, we couldn't have opened the center, and so we're so thankful, and we're going to be thanking them on Friday, and we'd love to have the public there to help thank them and have some refreshments and cut the proverbial ribbon as well. And that concludes my update. Thank you. And now we have Greg Adams from the Town of Paradise to talk about manufactured homes.
Good evening. I appreciate the opportunity to be here tonight to kind of go over the manufactured home building permit process and kind of go, it's a good packet. It's a step-by-step on this process. We'll go ahead and get started on the first page. Be the next slide. There we go. This slide gives us a good view of the step-by-steps, starting out with, of course, the debris removal is completed, and as they spoke a little earlier about the hazardous tree enrollment, it outlines that a little bit on here. Some of the important bullet points on this page, on the septic and zoning verification. That's a good information you need to know when you're doing your application, making your site plans. You have to have that information on those documents. The other important bullet on here is the special permit zone. If you're lucky enough to be in one of those, it's kind of a flood zone, so you'll get a letter from me. It'll explain what needs to be done to verify that your structure will be outside of that area, or if it's going to be inside it, there's an elevation certificate that would be required, and we give you that information. Next slide. On page 2 of this, there's two columns on this page. The left side indicates all the required plans and the number of sets you need to submit when applying for this permit. On the right side, it goes over the general information for filing and recording with the county upon conclusion of your installation. And one of the items on that right side, of course, is the manufacturer's certificate of origin, and we'll kind of talk about that a little bit later on. But it's a very important item or document to have at the conclusion of your installation. But this packet has 11 bullets on the left side that we'll kind of go over briefly. Go ahead and go to the next slide. Okay, of course, number one is the building permit application. And it's pretty self-explanatory. I think the middle part, the one that we have circled, is kind of the one that gets a little confusing. And a lot of folks are not familiar with the occupancy type, or maybe the zoning, or even the cost value, the construction value cost. That's something that we can help you with to determine those things. But like it indicates on the slide there, the manufactured home will be an R3 occupancy. If you're going to have a garage built, it's an R, or it's a U occupancy. The zoning district, we can help you find that if you come in ahead of time. We can look up your property information, give you that zoning information. The cost, construction valuation cost, is basically the cost of the unit and the foundation itself. Those two costs together are what we're asking for on this application. And then, of course, the separation of the square footage of the house, the deck, garage, if there is one. Next slide. Okay, this is item number 2 on that checklist, is the site plans. And the site plans are extremely important. They show us the setbacks. They show us the location of the manufactured home. It's going to be also location of the septic system and the leach field. It's very important to have all that information on the site plan. And the preferred, of course, the scale on that is a 1 inch. It goes 20 foot. But you know, if you go 1 in 10 or 1 in 30, that's okay too. We'll take it. Next slide. Okay, checklist number 3. It's the foundation plans. This is just a typical foundation. This is a state-approved foundation, and all manufactured homes need to be installed on a permanent foundation that is approved by the state or by a California licensed engineer. This also the foundation is what holds it up, but the perimeter that goes around the manufactured home, folks are either doing say a concrete one, a block one, or they'll do a framed one. But no matter what you do on that, it all has to meet WUI compliance and code compliance. So we can guide you through that if you have any questions on that skirting that goes around it. Next slide. Number 4 on that is the floor plan of the manufactured home. So we want to make sure that the floor plan, the bedroom count, matches up what the septic system has, what was designed for. So that's one of the reasons for that. Next would be we need 1 copy of the manufacturer's installation manual. That goes out on the job site with you, and so the building inspector and the installer can see the specific ways that this has to be set up. And let's see. Yeah, it'll show the marriage points. Usually there's a one page. It'll show where those specific foundation points have to go in the center, where the two, if it's a double wide or triple wide, where that support will be. Next, talk a little bit about the manufactured home needs to meet the WUI requirements, as well as the snow load requirements for Paradise. We've got an example there on the slide that shows it's a quote from the manufacturer on what has been ordered for that manufactured home. So we've got the snow load is highlighted on there. They're telling us what the snow load is, and they're also indicating that it is WUI compliant. That's part of your submittal. We have to see that so we can make sure it's all in line with the code. On the next slide, we're talking briefly about the grading questionnaire. There's just 4 questions on there that pertain to cuts and fills on your property, and that's both within the footprint and of your building and the whole property itself. And so that's you go through and just check the appropriate questions on that, and that's submitted with your application. The next slide is showing the grading and the BMPs. What we've done here is give you ideas. On the left side there is showing the different ways to have erosion control, sediment control, and this is keeping the debris out of our stormwater system. So what we've asked you to do is you just pick one of those, whatever's convenient for you, whatever works best for your property, and you'll put that in place during construction or during this installation of your manufactured home. And then you don't have to turn this in. It's just a good idea to keep this on hand. On the right side, the description gives you a little more detail of what each one of these items are for erosion control. And then our inspectors, when they come out and do inspection, they'll just kind of verify that you have this control in place so we can protect our stormwater system. Next slide is the checklist for the surveyor's certification. There's just 3 items on there. You either have an existing pins, or they're going to reset missing pins, or they're going to do a complete survey of your property and set all the pins. And then they'll provide a plat for us to look at to make sure we've got the right dimensions on the property, and we will be able to put that in our file. The next one, item number 10, we need to complete a fire flow from station 81. And this is basically because most of the manufactured homes are not required to have a sprinkler system, and they'd be exempt from that if they meet the requirements on this fire flow application. And it determines, it's determined on the requirements, the required distance from a fire hydrant, and the flow from that fire hydrant. So with that information filled out, then your manufactured home would not require the fire sprinklers or fire suppression system. There's only a few of them that we've issued so far that have had a fire sprinkler installed because they're further away than, say, 750 feet, I think is what it is. And then, most of them that we've seen, they meet these requirements. But this will tell us that you have met the requirements of the fire flow. On the next slide, it's really important to make sure that you, after you've applied for your building permit, let's see, we've got one too many. There you go. Get electronic site plans submitted to PG&E and apply for, do your application with them for service. If you do that at the same time or that you apply for your manufactured home permit, then there won't be a big delay at the end, hopefully, get you electrical service. And we do need, the building department does need to have that PG&E service application number prior to issuing a building permit. Okay, now we can go to next slide. Here's the forms that need to be completed following your installation of your permit or your manufactured home. The 433A form is submitted with the application, and it kind of goes through on your packet. It'll go through and tells you what's required. You got the application, you have $11 per unit fee, and that check would be made out to HCD. So this information, this form and that check is provided at the time of application. Two important items to have on that application that we won't have. About midway, there's property, let's see, the owner information and the dealer information. If you have those filled out, at least, that's the very minimum you'd need. The rest of that can be filled out at the counter or later on, but it's important to have the owner and dealer information for us. And then, of course, on conclusion there, on the final of your manufactured home, this information can be sent into the recorder's office and get that ball rolling. The next slide, this only pertains if you're going to install a previously owned unit. Then you have some things you need to deal with HCD. You submit these title search to them, and title search to them, and then of course if you're moving within from Butte County into another portion, moving into Paradise, then this tax clearance form has to be completed as well. Next slide. And this is the manufacturer certificate of origin. This is a very important one because without this, we cannot file or record with the county upon a final of your manufactured home. So the MCO basically is provided to you after the manufacturer has shipped the unit to your dealer or shipped it up here. You should have that MCO, and once you get it, it's important to get it to the building department. They can record it at that time. They'll have it ready to get it to the Butte County recorder when you get a final, because there's the time frame from getting a final and a certificate of occupancy is very short, so we need to make sure we have all that stuff together so we can get it recorded and not delay at all. That's basically what I've covered the packet there. If you come down to the building department there, we have these packets that explain explain everything that I've gone over, and I think that concludes my presentation.
All right, thanks, Greg. Actually, could I have all the speakers up here? Because we have quite a few questions, so bear with me for a moment here. Okay, so we had several questions that are related, that are regarding trees that aren't perhaps on the property owners themselves, but on their neighbor's property, and they're in danger of falling, potentially on their homes as well. Is there anything they can do, or what can they do to notify and get those trees removed?
So if the tree is on your property, the right-of-way, right of entry form to enter into the government program or the inspection access form for the private program for your property will take care of that. For your neighbor, if you're in touch with your neighbor, I would communicate to them, send them the ROE package. It's online, or the inspection access form, because we need your neighbor, if the tree is rooted on your neighbor's property, we need your neighbor to submit the right of entry so they can participate in the program, which they have to do. So then the tree would be assessed, and if it would fall on a road, and I won't go through that process again, then it would be eligible to be removed through the program.
I could yell, I'll yell. The only other thing I would add to that too is the Fire Safe Council does have some funding available for removal of trees that may not qualify for this program. So for example, if your neighbor's tree is going to potentially be a danger to your home, but it's far enough back from the road that it may not qualify for this program, there may be some other funding available through the Fire Safe Council. I think they're back there. Oh, hi, Trevor.
You know what, actually, you know what, would you mind coming up here for just simply because we do have a lot of people watching online?
I think I can answer that question.
Okay, all right, never mind then, thank you.
So there's a couple other programs too. So Kathy talked about the Fire Safe Council and their program. We've talked about it at Town Council a couple times and I'm going to use a little example to make this very specific. So this tree you're talking about is threatening, say, your home, but if it fell, it wouldn't hit the road or the right-of-way. So it's not eligible for that program. So for that, we are working with our partners at Cal OES and FEMA, and we're submitting a hazard mitigation grant program application to cover those exact trees. So for those trees, more to follow. It's where we have to go through an approval process for that, but there will be details that will become forthcoming as that program evolves. So stay tuned. But we're very much focused on those issues as well. Because again, you're not eligible. It wouldn't be funded through the government program, but this is a grant where it fits. And then we're working with the Fire Safe Council on programs or trees that don't fit either of those programs. So we're really trying to align funding so we hit every bucket, if you will, or every situation of trees. So it is complex. Apologies, more to come. Yes, ma'am. So for your neighbor, or if a tree was on your property, submit an ROE. if you want to participate in the government program, do that now. Right. If certainly, if the tree is dangerous, you should take it out now. Don't wait. Through these programs for the government program, if there is insurance money, if say your house survived the fire, but you get insurance money, that is part of the program because we can't duplicate benefits. So there will be some adjustments and a dialogue through the program, the process of the program with respect to your insurance money. So, but if it's a safety hazard, don't wait. Talk to your neighbor. Hopefully. Oh.
Okay. Well, and the websites, both Make It Paradise and BuchananRecovers.org has all, we tried to put that all in one place. And then also the call center that I mentioned, you can call and ask those specific questions. And I know that we don't want to give too deep into the insurance, but we get a lot of questions at the call center about that. And, as an example, what we tell people is if, for example, your policy allowed you $5,000 for tree removal, and you sign up for the government program and it costs $20,000 to remove those trees, they would never, number one, take more than the $5,000 that your insurance had. But the other thing is you can use that insurance money for other tree removal on your property or remove those stumps because, the stumps aren't going to be removed. So if you have tree money through your insurance, you can use that to remove stumps. And then when it comes time for the government program to look to see what you have, you would have spent that money as long as you keep your receipts. So there is a way, too, to be able to maximize your insurance to get some of that other work done, tree work done, that the government program's not going to do.
So just because of everyone online, we're not going to take, that's why we had the comment cards. If you still have questions, there are cards in the back. Please fill them out and bring them up if you'd like, and we make sure we get them answered just so that everyone that is watching at home can hear what's happening. And also, to your point as well, so definitely at the makeitparadise.org website, we are looking at continually building out information about trees. There is an email there on the website where you can contact us. Feel free to fill that out and submit your question. And we'll do our best to get you that question and put it up on the website as well so that we keep everyone updated as we get more information. Okay, next question. So some of these, again, a couple that are similar, but why not top some of the trees rather than remove them? For instance, if they're valuable redwoods. And why are trees that are still alive and viable being removed? And who decides if a tree is dead or dying? Trees that are alive that are no threat.
So first of all, in the trees that are alive, that are being taken out, the PG&E is doing some cutting right now. From what I've heard, some of those trees would threaten power lines. So that may answer that question. For these programs, though, there's an arborist, certified arborist, and I won't go through the specific qualification, but an arborist is involved, or a forester, in both the government program or in the town's part on the inspection access form in assessing properties if you have taken out those trees yourself. So there is an arborist involved, a subject matter expert to assess the trees. is important through this program. In looking at trees, we're not looking at where it stands today, we're looking at a 5-year horizon. So if the arborist determines, the subject matter expert, that the tree is going to die in the next 5 years, that tree would be taken out, assuming it was within 2 times the height of the tree that would hit the road. That tree would be taken out based on that arborist determination.
Okay, thank you. All right, so here's another one about trees. So the lot sold to new owners, the trees are not taken down. Can the new owner sign up for the government program?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so can I hear the questions? Okay, got it. We'll try to be louder here. All right. I am building starting in March. 2 neighbors have multiple trees. How long will it take for the trees to be removed? And if FEMA or the ROE are asking for insurance money, wouldn't it be better for people to remove the trees independently? A neighbor was told that it would take 2 to 3 years to remove all trees. By then, the trees will have fallen.
My understanding is when Cal OES came and they spoke before the council, and they, as with debris, they had nearly all the debris done 9 months from the start to finish, and that they've made that their goal, commitment for the tree program as well. So right now they are just contracting to get people out into the field to assess trees, and then a couple months after that they'll actually start removing trees. So I would say, if I were to guess, I would say by the end of this year. It wouldn't be 2 to 3 years, but it could be by the end of this year that those trees would be removed. We're also prioritizing those that have building permits or that are in the building process, so we'll make sure that those get prioritized. So if there are trees that need to be removed and you're in that process, then those get prioritized with the contractor as well.
Okay, are there any other comment cards out there regarding trees? Otherwise, we're going to move to manufactured homes. Oh, you're the note taker? Okay, here, ask a super quick question.
I've listened to probably 4 presentations on the tree removal program, and every time they've said that the slash would be left. Tonight that was different, and I'm wondering if that has changed.
I'm not sure it's changed, but the information has changed, so slash will be removed. The whole trio is going to be removed. So that, I think that is a change. But it is we've spent a lot of time talking about that over the last several weeks. But the slash will be removed, so the whole entire tree will be removed.
Okay. So moving on to manufactured homes, this is about the plantation. So since the plantation is considered a mobile home park, do these guidelines tonight pertain to that particular location?
Okay. I'm on, okay. Yeah, so this question was the plantation, I guess that's the name of a mobile home park. So that's all under the HCD jurisdiction. We as a town do not have any jurisdiction inside there. Any guidelines, I would suggest going through HCD, contacting them on what needs to be done inside any mobile home park.
Okay, next question is, will the town make sure that manufactured homes will not be allowed where there are CC&Rs?
Yeah, the CC&Rs are not governed by local jurisdictions, so the state does allow, or it indicates that manufactured homes can go in anywhere where a stick framed home can go in. But legally, I don't want to even go there for that one. The CCNRs, you'd have to go through the committee, whoever oversees that, for permission to build within the CCR.
It's, oh my gosh, I can never remember. Does anybody remember? Covenants, codes, and restrictions. Thank you. I can never remember that first part. Okay, thank you. Okay, so regarding manufactured homes, again, will sprinklers need to be installed at some point?
No, the state does not require this. The state controls the construction of all manufactured homes, and at this time, there's no requirement to sprinkler your manufactured home. Unless you, like I said earlier, in the town of Paradise, if you are further away than 750 feet from a fire hydrant, and the fire hydrant's less than 1,000 gallons per minute, I think it is, then you would probably be required to do so.
Speaking of fire hydrants, how does someone find out about the fire hydrant pressure prior to buying a lot to put a manufactured home on? They don't want to buy something that might cause them issues in the future.
Yeah, the water pressure, you could check with PID. They're the ones that will tell you what the pressure is. And I believe also Station 81 will do that, gives you that information as well on the pressure.
Okay, so someone says here, I started early and our permit was issued on January, this is for manufactured homes, it was issued on January 30th, so we've had these requirements in place, so those are correct? I'm hoping I got this question, I'm reading it right, so.
Started early.
Permit was issued on January 30th, and they want to make sure that the requirements, I assume, are current?
Yeah, the building code changed as of January 1st, but no code has changed on manufactured homes. So when you're issued the permit, you do what you would do normally. I mean, the foundation setbacks, those are all the same. They have not changed.
Okay, and the next question actually, Councilmember Jones is going to answer. So it was a question regarding the repair of the private roads. Can you give an update on that?
Yeah. Yes. The question actually asked about a grant. They had heard that I had got a grant to fix private roads, and that's not true. What my husband and I did privately, not as part of my job on the council, is we filed a class action claim against PG&E on behalf of all the private roads in Paradise. And that claim is going through the bankruptcy process along with all the other claims. So we don't yet know whether or how much money we might get for private roads. If we are successful, the money will go into a trust fund and be used to fix the private roads. There is a claim for private roads in Paradise, and some people in the county have also filed a similar claim on behalf of private roads in Butte County. So we just have to wait and see what happens.
There's also part of that as well, Jody, it had to do with an easement. If the easement on the property is required and the road is caving, do you think that help would be available? Do you have enough information to answer that question yet, or do you know?
No, I don't.
Then the answer is not yet. So, okay, that's what we have for now. So I want to thank you all very much for coming. Folks will be out in the lobby if you'd like to ask a few more questions. We appreciate it, and we will see you the first Tuesday of next month. And I believe that's Tuesday, March 3rd. So thank you.